Insight Brilliance, brought to you by H&H.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Insight Brilliance, the podcast from H&H. Today I am delighted to be joined by Sam Boniface, who is the UK Communications Lead for Avon International. Hi Sam, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so looking forward to hearing about Avon and your role there.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's really nice to be here. So I'm Sam. I'm the UK Communications Lead for Avon International. So that is kind of Europe and Western Europe, and my role specifically focused on the UK market. Before coming to Avon, most recently, because I was here previously as well. So before coming to Avon, I've worked in various different comms roles across industries for the best part of about 20 years now. So I've done agency and in-house, and then for about 3 or 4 years before coming back here, I was a consultant as well. So yeah, lots of fingers in lots of pies over the years.
Fantastic. And I spotted that little, I've come back here, so it sounds like you were lured back to Avon. What is it that attracted you to Avon as an organisation?
So Avon for me, it's the sense of purpose. And we always say with Avon, and I'm sure every organisation says this, but I can hand on heart say this and truly believe it, it's the people at Avon. And so you don't leave the purpose and you don't leave the people the first time around. That's what draws you back, and that's what you want to come back for. And it was exactly the same for me. The essence of Avon is all about empowering women and giving women financial freedom and autonomy, and that speaks to me on a very kind of like personal and visceral level. So when the opportunity came up to return, I was more than happy to jump at it.
Fantastic. And that kind of enduring purpose is quite interesting, isn't it? Because I mean, I as a child in the 70s, I remember an Avon that is probably very different to the Avon that it is today. Tell me a bit about that kind of evolution of the business and how it's changed.
Yeah, so this year actually Avon as a global organisation is celebrating 140 years. So the key thing for me that always blows my mind and just makes me think like, how many other organisations or brands or whatever can say this, is that we were around to give women an opportunity to earn before they could even vote. And from there, I think that kind of grounding in what we do and how we do it has just grown and grown and grown. So at our core, we're a beauty industry. We're a beauty company that sells its products through a network of independents, so they're self-employed, independent representatives. We are now, for many, many years, that's how it's been, ding-dong Avon calling, and you get the brochure through the door, and Sally down the road pops to your house for a cup of tea on a Friday while she takes your order. We still have a large percentage of reps that work their business that way, and that community element is still very much at the heart of what we do. Being a part of your local community, making connections, making friendships. And when we do our long service events, it's just honestly so emotional and so lovely to have someone stood there that's doing their 40, 50 year service, and they say, who can stand here and say that they've made lifelong friends from their job of 50 years. And that's why a lot of our reps do it that way and still do it that way. However, in more recent years, we have digitised. We obviously sell online. We've got our own e-commerce site. So we sell that way. We have Amazon as a marketplace. We sell through Amazon. And more recently, we've gone into retail. So you can find Avon in Superdrug stores and Matalan stores. That's in the UK. Globally, we are in other retail stores as well. So it's kind of an omnichannel model that has evolved and is being rolled out throughout the markets. And that's really how the brand has evolved over the years. But always, always with this essence of her, the representative her, at its heart, and how we give women an opportunity to earn.
Yeah, and I guess probably a forerunner of flexible working before the term flexible working was ever kind of introduced.
Yeah, 100%. You'll find a lot of our representatives do what they do because there's barriers to employment for them. Maybe they've got a disability, maybe they've got childcare issues, maybe they've got a child with a disability that needs permanent care, maybe they are elderly themselves and weren't ready to leave the workplace completely, so they've taken this on, or there's so many reasons why people do this. And also it's an affordable way to own your own business. So loads of us have sat there, haven't we, at some point and gone, God, if I could only work for myself, I'd love to work for myself. And we did a piece of work with Sarah Davies a year or so ago now. And as part of that, we did a survey, and actually it found that the barrier to entry for women having their own business and taking this leap into entrepreneurship or being a small business owner was not that they didn't know how and they didn't have the skills. It was a financial barrier and a self-confidence barrier. So you can start your own Avon business for as little as £10. So we've removed that kind of barrier to being a independent business owner. And I'm talking about women here. I have to caveat that it's for everybody. We've got loads of really successful male reps as well. But I think that element of being able to take charge of your own kind of earnings, take charge of your own work life, take charge of that balance is what draws a lot of people to us as well.
And I guess that flexible workforce who are based in their homes and across a large area gives you as a communicator some interesting and possibly kind of unique challenges. How do you navigate that kind of landscape?
It's really, really unique. So a large portion of my role, so my role is quite holistic at the moment, is internal and external, and then what we call field comms. So a large portion, I was only just talking about this a minute ago with one of my team, is this field comms. Now, they're not field in the sense of their salespeople in their cars, or their engineers working on the railways, on the train lines, that kind of thing. These are field people that actually they don't have to engage with the software if they don't want to. Like I said, it's their own business. They can run it however they want. What we do have is we've got like best in class training. We've won awards for our training. We have regular communications. We run incentives. We run conferences. We do in-person events and workshops. We've got all this stuff to help them build their business. But like you say, ultimately, they don't have to do any of it. So what we find as a really unique challenge, I say unique, every communicator experiences, is getting that cut through. Like, why are they going to open our emails, or why are they going to watch our webinars, or why are they going to take notice of our Facebook group when they're already probably dealing with so much else in their personal lives, so much else. A lot of them do this alongside their day job as well. So we've got one of our leaders that spoke at our conference recently. She's a paediatric sister in a really busy A&E. She's got a very full-on job. How do we get her to pay attention to us when she's literally saving babies' lives during her 9 to 5, and then still building this amazing business on the side? But she's just busy. How do we get to her? So we have to be quite inventive. And what we've found over the years is what we've tried to move away from is this kind of spoon-feeding parent-child relationship to much more of a peer-to-peer. So, for example, our very, very top sales leaders. So sales leaders are the people that, they have their own teams of reps as well. So they're managing people in their own right as well. We now call them our business partners, and we treat them as our business partners. So we bring them into the office kind of 2-3 times a year. We give them strategic updates. We talk to them about our financial performance. We give them all the stuff that you might get in a 9 to 5 employed role as part of being in a community, as they would, but they're not ultimately. But we try and find these new ways to bring them in and get them to understand that, they are the face of our brand. They don't have to do what we tell them, but equally they are representative of our brand when they're out on the street. So there's a bit of give and take there.
Fantastic. And you talked earlier about that kind of move into sort of omnichannel presence. What was behind that move from the kind of community-based into more of an online experience?
So we've seen the halo effect, actually, of being omnichannel. Change is rough. We, like I said, for many, many years, we were solely kind of like this network selling model that has, supplied independent reps with what they need to go and run their businesses. And I think, when we first announced moving into retail and things like that, it wasn't an easy message. It felt like we were taking business away from them and taking sales away from them. But actually what we've seen is that with Superdrug, especially reps with living within a sort of 5-mile radius of Superdrug, have actually seen an uptake of their sales, because what we've done deliberately is we haven't gone in with a full range. There are very limited ranges in retail. So it might be just skincare, or it might be skincare and toiletries. And a bit like what you said when we first started, oh my God, I remember Avon, and, in the 70s and whatever. People seeing that then on the shelves are going, Avon, oh my God, it still exists. And then they're like, where can I get more? So it's had a really positive effect, and actually having that data and that insight to be able to share with the reps and say, this is what it's doing for the people that are making the most of this, has been really helpful.
Yeah, and I guess have you seen your reps embracing social media as well, and the advent of Facebook and things like that? Do they almost have their own online retail presence as well?
They do. So we have something called My Avon Store. So they all have their own individual websites as well. And what's really nice is they can tailor it as well. So they might want to spotlight like one of our glimmer stick eyeliners that month for that month's brochure, whatever it is. So we do have a lot of like hybrid reps that will physically put catalogues through doors, but then they also have this store link, and they've got people that like to shop online, and they just send their store link out and they still earn off of those sales. So yeah, they're really good actually at social media. Some of them are just getting to grips with it. You know, we've got a demographic that are not digital natives, they're not especially tech savvy. So we've done a lot of work on kind of like how to get them digitize themselves. It's quite exciting really, and you see some of them really going to town with it, and it's really interesting at the minute that they're just sort of, I can see some of them are sort of exploring with AI and how they use AI as well in marketing their business.
Yeah, and in terms of those that community of sort of local Avon reps, have you seen, is the demographic shifting, or do you have the same challenge as other organisations where actually the breadth of people in the organisation, in terms of age and is that a trend you're seeing, or are you seeing very much, the older reps are not being replaced?
So it's a bit of both, to be honest. We do have some reps that I'm trying to think. We celebrated someone the other day. She turned 100. Was she turned 100 or she turned 99? I don't know.
But she's still selling Avon. What products does she use?
I know, honestly.
It must be amazing.
It's the new stuff. I'll send you some. It's fun. But yeah, so we have some of them that are in their 80s and 90s. It's a small percentage, but again, like I said, they've done it since, I think, so our longest serving, so the UK has been going for 66 years, and she's been going for 66 years. So she literally started at 16 years old, and she's still going now. And she's made it work for her in that, like her daughter was telling me, she obviously doesn't drive anymore and can't get out and about as much. So she basically has them come and drop stuff on her doorstep. So she sort of flipped the model. So she sort of gets the brochure to them, and then they all come to her house to give her their orders, which I thought was brilliant. So we do have a portion that I like that. I think I'm trying to think now what the average age is, but the average age is in their 40s. And actually that kind of tracks with when you look at women having children, women maybe getting to an age where they're like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, 9 to 5 for someone else. They have a bit of a moment, don't they, where they go, I want to do my own thing. It tracks really with different life stages. We do have some younger ones as well, but I would say we skew more towards sort of the millennial Gen X demographic, which again presents an interesting challenge. I've just been having a conversation this morning about some events and stuff and what we should provide for people, and I'm all ready to go in with like, oh my God, let's go to like an Olivia Dean concert and let's do this and let's do that. And it's like, yeah, but who's coming? Like, you really need to think about who this is for. Yeah, I'm going, it's fine. Get me a box, it'll be lovely. But yeah, it's so sometimes I have to rein myself in because I'm like, actually think about who I'm talking to, and what that looks like for them. But yeah, I think what I find is the nostalgia piece with Avon, and it's a blessing and a curse, to be honest, because it's great that so many people go, oh my God, Avon, I remember Avon, and I can get this warm, fuzzy feeling about like the halcyon days of Avon. But it's like, it's still here, and we're still going strong. And actually our products stand alone by themselves. They're incredible. And, we were the first to stabilise vitamin C, and we've got this ingredient called protanol, which is 10 times stronger than retinol, but equally not as harsh on your skin. And we've got all this amazing innovation. But what you get is people going, oh my God, Avon, I loved Avon back in the day. And you're like, love it now. Come and love us now.
And that's interesting, because I went to an event where Liz Earle was speaking a week or so ago, and she was talking about just how much the beauty industry has changed in terms of, it used to be the kind of high end, you bought one, you got one for your 21st and you kind of eked it out until your 40th. And then there was the kind of cheaper sort of supermarket brands, but now there's just such a breadth, isn't there? Wow, it sounds like Avon are kind of counteracting that with innovation and kind of just being available and present everywhere. And
actually, internally for associates, it's a really nice challenge as well. So we did a pilot on TikTok Shop, for example, about this time last year. Because we've seen the likes of, like P by Louise and Made by Mitchell, P Louise, Made by Mitchell, even ELF, like ELF, all of those, they get these one viral products, one viral moment, like the Bum Bum creams from Sol de Janeiro, and it goes massive, and it's honestly crazy. And that's all driven by this kind of like the Gen Z need for like to have the latest thing. So for us, it's like internally we've been like, okay, how do we create this element of FOMO around our products and get people to the younger generation to go like, I want that. So we've just launched a peptide lip gloss, which is comparable to some of the high-end ones on the market, which sell for like £38. Ours is, I can't think how much ours is, but it's not £38. But honestly, but it's getting the word out there and trying to explore these new channels, which we're doing fairly well at. But it's like our marketing team is so good; they're so innovative and so adaptive and so dynamic. And I think it must just be a really nice job for them to come into and go, okay, how do we do this today, and how do we move things on? And it's really good.
And I guess the same for you in terms of how do you create a culture where things are so kind of dispersed, and quite often you're talking to one individual. How are you going about creating that sense of belonging for people, that they feel part of a Avon family?
I don't know. We kind of approach things with you can't please all of the people all of the time. So we always know with whatever we say and what we do, with the reps and leaders especially, not so much internally, because like I started with, the sense of purpose here is really strong. A lot of associates are here, and we've got a lot of people that have been here 25, 30, 40 years themselves because of what we do and because what they believe in the purpose. So actually the battle's half won internally. Is externally, we always know that when we go out with something new or something that is potentially a change, it's very, very polarizing. So we normally get kind of the very extreme ends of people going, I love this is exactly what we need to be doing, this is too late in my opinion, blah blah blah. And then you've got the ones going, hate it, horrible, this is going to ruin my business, why have you done this to me? And I tend to think, but what about all those people in the middle that are squished in the middle that are just merrily doing their job? There's the Mrs. Jones that makes maybe £50 a month to £100 a month. She's doing it so that she can fill a car with petrol, or she's doing it so she can afford to take her kids for a takeaway at the weekend. They're the people I think that we do this for. Well, we do it for everyone, but they're the people I think that are a majority, and we have to keep those in mind whenever we're talking about what we're doing for them, with them, around them, because it's those average everydays, not our high earners or our very vocal kind of we need to be better people. It's the ones that are just doing this to get by that we need to keep in mind to bring in and put our arms around and make sure they feel like they're part of our community.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's so are there any, if you were thinking about, are there any particular rituals and things that happen at Avon that you think keep that, that core, the people at the heart of the organisation engaged, passionate about what they do?
Definitely. We've got, so I've touched on long service events. They are so beloved to our rep community. And it's a highlight, I think, of a lot of their years. To the point that we have that many long servers, we actually don't start offering an event until they hit 30 years. So,
My goodness.
yeah, so we're not even talking about people that are like, hey, you've been here 5 years, come and have a drink on us. It's like,
You can't fit them all in.
Can't fit them all in. It's wild. So it's lovely because very often it's their event and it's their one time that they get together and they get to be celebrated and spoiled. So it's really nice. I think the same like with our conference and our incentive trips. I'm just prepping to go away actually next week. We've got a week-long incentive trip with our very, very top sellers, our top selling reps and our top leaders. 2 of them have never left the country before. 2 of them had to get a passport to come on this trip. And so it's those moments for our reps that really drive and motivate and make them feel like we care and we want to give them something for the hard work that they put in. And again, with the events, I try and remember that for some of them, they're working on their own a lot of the time. They don't have a team around them like how we do. They don't have maybe the biggest insight. Well, obviously, they don't have a lot of insight into what we're doing as a brand. And so when we do our annual conference, for example, that's the one time of year they get to network. So they tend to let loose and go wild. And we're all like, oh my God. But it's because it's like, that's their work event for them. Like, that's lovely. When I go downstairs for Friday breakfast or we have a little lunch as a team, they're not getting that. So this annual conference they really look forward to it. So there's some milestones for the reps especially, I think, and rituals. And then internally, I think we've significantly shrunk. I mean, I don't think there's any secret in that. So it's the feeling of what I've always found here is that there's a real sense of goodwill, and we're all prepared to get to muck in and get stuck in for each other. And Avon are very, very good at moving people to new roles and around when the need arises. So I think us all having like it's been wonderful actually coming back after 7-8 years away, and there's still people here that were here the first time around, and it's been lovely. But they're doing something slightly different, or very different in some cases, but they've been given that opportunity. And I think just knowing that keeps people here as well, because it's kind of like, if you're taken care of, you want to give back, don't you? You want to do a good job. So I think, yeah, it's just a nice feeling to walk in and know that someone's going to take care of you.
Yeah, and from what you're saying, it sounds like a very purpose-led organisation. So that if you're passionate about the purpose, you'll turn your hand to anything, and people are willing to give you a try at it as well.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That's a great place to be. Now, it wouldn't be a conversation about an organisation that depends on community and human contact to mention the COVID word. How did COVID impact your organisation and your network? Obviously you've got the lady who's got things dropped on the doorstep. I think she was probably okay.
That's how she turned it around, because she couldn't leave her house in COVID.
Right, okay.
Pop it on my doorstep. I think that was really when the digitisation of the business accelerated. It was before my time, my second time here, but everyone obviously immediately had to go online. So I think everything about Avon and that, like you said, that community piece of being such a figure or a known person, or whatever, in your village or in your estate or whatever it is, suddenly that was taken away from people and they had to pivot to be online. So I think a big learning curve for our reps, but actually it supported the business in modernising and moving to a more omnichannel model, because now we can offer different routes to earning. It isn't just a case of knock on a door or pop a brochure through a letterbox and then go and get them. It's like there's so many different ways that you can do it now, and COVID, I think, helps bring that about.
And I think that probably also supports the diversity of people that you get as agents as well, doesn't it? Because for some people, building a community face to face might not be something that they're comfortable with, whereas an online interface, is something that they're more comfortable and familiar with.
And I think that's really interesting when we talk about like attracting younger people as well. Like I know 18, 19-year-olds that wouldn't go and ask for a pint at the bar in the pub because they're too frightened to. So can you imagine asking those people to go into someone's house and be like, hey, do you want this lipstick? Like, they're not going to do it. But if they can do it over WhatsApp, it's a whole new ball game. They can definitely communicate in a way that's right for them. So I think, it's good for kind of getting to a different audience as well.
Brilliant. And before we finish off, Sam, what excites you so much about the future for Avon?
I'm glad to say for Avon. I was going to say, what, in general? I was just like,
well, no, you can tell if you like. Tell me your darkest secrets if you don't mind everyone knowing. No. But then we can focus on it if you like.
I think for Avon, so we've just completed a sale. We've been bought out. We're under new ownership. We're 3 months into it. We're in that period of time where it's a little bit chaotic and what's happening, but we are starting to now see very clear direction on actually what the brand could be and how it could be that. And that excites me, because I think when you've got an end goal and you've got that kind of vision in the future to go, right, I'm doing all of this because I know it's going to get me to this point, that drives me, that gives me motivation. So I think for Avon, it's about the excitement is what it could look like maybe in a year or two or whatever that is. And we've got some good innovation coming up, like I said, in terms of the actual products, some really good innovation, which I think if we will, but if we can get it right in terms of like our position and our marketing, hopefully it will open new doors for us in terms of like my 15-year-old stepdaughter who wants a Road lip gloss, when I'm like, well, just use this one. She's like, no, I want Hailey Bieber's. Like, going up against those people is going to open up doors for us in that sense. But I think just, I don't know. It's hard to say, because it feels like we do the same thing all the time because the rep is so central to what we do, but it's always evolving and always changing, and who that rep is always evolving as well. And what I really love about this job is, I don't know if every comms person says this, but I don't come into the same thing every day. So one day, you know, the night before I might write my to-do list, and by 9:30 the next morning it's out the window. So that kind of stuff as well is really good, because it's like, well, what's the next challenge? What's the next thing that we need to get on board with? Or what's the next thing? And although I really, really hate change in my personal life, like loathe it, I actually really thrive in that environment in my professional life. I really enjoy working through change and helping other people to work through change. So that's a big driver for me as well. Sounds a bit sadist, doesn't it? I'm excited by people going through change and making them unhappy temporarily to get to an end state. But I quite like that about a comms job.
Yeah, I think, you know, that every day is different. It attracts, you know, it attracts those of us that like a bit of spontaneity and change in our working lives. And you know, when you work for an organisation that's 130 years young, you've got to accept that it's going to keep reinventing itself.
It's not the same.
Putting those peptides on.
I know, it's not the same. We did a little kind of presentation, not this year's conference, last year's conference, where we were saying about like just with the bigger picture of like how has the world moved on, and we used kind of like audio as a example. So you're like, okay, so you've gone from the Walkman to the CD player to the little MP3 players to live streaming. Like in the time that we've been here, like this is how fast technology in the world is evolving, and this is why we have to do the same thing, and why we have to catch up and be really pacey with this, because who owns Walkman nowadays? No one does. Like VHS tapes are obsolete, but we all remember. We're all sitting here remembering it. And it's the same for Avon. We all sit here and we, like I said, people go, oh my God, Avon, everyone remembers it. So it's that pace of change that everyone has to kind of get on board with to make it a success for the future.
Well, it sounds like you're certainly having a very good crack at it at
Fingers
Avon.
crossed.
So thank you so much for sharing a glimpse into the world of Avon. It's absolutely fascinating just how it has reinvented itself and keeps reinventing itself. So I do fully expect in 100 years' time, I may not be here, but somehow Avon will be in some shape.
Oh, I really hope so. I really hope so. It'll probably be some kind of like, I'm thinking about the LED face masks, you know, like, but something that's more virtual or hologrammy. I don't know. We could do something like that.
Yeah, or you just paint it on and magic hands. Or,
Yeah.
Can't wait. I think it might be a bit too late for me, but hey, never mind. Thank you so much, Sam.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this edition of the Insight Brilliance podcast from H&H. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can keep up to date with all the episodes as they go live. Thank you.
Insight Brilliance, brought to you by H&H.